Hello viewers, today I'm going to look at the diorama that I put the T34 on. Now this was basically some dry terrain from AK Interactives spread on with a little model trowel onto a piece of wood. Smoothed it all on and to give it a bit of a base, and then smoothed it around, and after that I got a tissue when it was kind of half dry and just stabbed at it or dabbed at it just so that it kind of stopped it from being totally flat and it looked like mud being drawn up from the tracks or any vehicle going over it. And you'll see this process going in a few minutes after I've smoothed out this base. There you go, as you can see I've just put some tissue on there now, just dabbing it down when it's half dry just to pull up some of those segments of the terrain, which is basically kind of a textured paint, really, textured filler from AK Interactive. And you can see I put a few tank tracks in there as well, on the left and the right hand side at the back of the model. And let's go on to the next step after that. As you can see, what I'm doing here is literally just going over the base with a kind of a dark brown, which I think was a tank brown from Vallejo model Air, just to give that first layer of dark mud underneath or wet mud underneath. There's the final product, as you can see. And there it is, 71041. I'm going to put on a khaki brown colour. Okay, so off camera, all I've done here is added some bit of resin, which was mixed in with some Vallejo concrete. If I can't find the right bottle, there it is, concrete 71131 into the resin, a very small drop, and this made a couple of puddles for where the tracks have just been through. And now I'm going to apply the grass with usual white PVA glue and my grass applicator with some sprinkle there from some scenery company. Okay, so with this I've got an old wet brush, which is it's a bit damp. I'm putting the glue into the white glue, and now for this I'm just gonna push it onto the edges. I don't want it all over the whole model, just the edging where the tank tracks haven't been. Put a little, as much as you like, up to you. Anyway, the grass is going to stick. I might put a fence up later, and I'll tell you the reason for that later. But at the moment, let's just get the grass down. Do it on this edge as well. and as I said, some in the middle as well. Don't have to put too much in the middle because different vehicles go over it with different motorbikes might go over as well, so it would affect the middle of the base. But tanks and tank tracks are normally obviously just left and right, so there would be a bit of grass left over. So just dabbing this on, but not as much as on the edges from the other sides. There you go, that'll do, and then take it from there. And what I normally do, as I have done here, is put paper underneath so I can capture any of the excess grass that comes left over from when I've sprinkled it on. Again, trying to do more on the edges. Obviously what this applicator does with the statics from the electric going to the base, it helps the grass stand up as opposed to just laying flat. Now just make sure that you have the resin is 100% dry. I've had mine dry for a few days now, so hopefully dry, otherwise I'm going to get grass stuck in the resin. But no matter, the tracks will be over most of it anyway, so there you go. That should be enough, and then hopefully let that dry, and then I might put a fence up. Now I found these bit of scraps wood in my scraps cupboard. I think that's bamboo from a bit of Vietnamese scenario I did. And I'm going to use this to build the fence to go with the T34. Now you notice that there's burnt on one side and light on the other, so I'm going to have to sand these down a little bit, and what I shall do is use the inside of the posts like that, so it's a bit of shade where this would see more sun. I don't want to go and buy more wood when I've already got some here. They're not exactly to scale, but it's not going to be far out, so it'll do. I mean, that's the kind of a guy. So yeah, the planks are would have been slightly bigger, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. All I'm doing is cutting them to length, and I shall glue them onto the board. So there are the 4 pieces I'm going to use, roughly the same in shape. They're going to be the posts, and then what I'm going to do is spread them across, obviously like that, and then I'm going to put the bamboo across. It's like it's a little fence, something like that. And that'll do for my fence, and then I'm obviously going to paint it, and then I shall put it on the base. And just coating it easily with this. I actually use an IDF Israeli Sand Grey. IDF Israeli Sand Grey, and it is a primer coat from Vallejo. I'm just using that as the undercoat for this wood. So actually priming wood, so should hopefully soak it in nicely. And actually, as it is actual wood, I'm hoping it will have some natural grain on it as well. Now with the different shades of wood, which is from my wood collection from Vallejo, which is a Model Air stuff. It uses a like a dark green, a sand ivory, a IDF sand grey, a golden brown, and obviously wood. And just randomly picking up the post. It doesn't have to be, so I'm just dabbing it on. It doesn't have to be uniform in any way at all, because obviously the wood as well as that dark markings, light markings, mould, etc. Just dabbing it on accordingly. And I'll do this with several colours that I've just mentioned. And that'll just make it a bit more realistic, a bit more vibrant, and obviously a bit more colourful. Don't forget to do the tops. If you want, I've done a little bit too much more on that one than I have on the others. You know, if just dab it on a paper towel if you think you've got too much on your brush. Bog standard routine. I'm dabbing on this one and slightly brushing towards the grain as well on this. Now I'm going to try a new technique of not waiting for the other colour to dry, because then it will blend in a little bit with some of the other colours, mix it. It's kind of like a dry brushing technique, really similar to that. So very random until you get that desired look that you want. Okay, so there's the wood with all the different colours on. Now, I didn't put too much of the golden brown on because I wanted it to look really weathered and old fence. But you can see the difference it makes having the 4 or 5 different colours on there, and how it makes the wood look aged. So now I've just got to put these together and put it on the diorama. First of all, I've made sure that the put a kind of a straight edge, so I know that they're all going to be on the ground, the right level. And then I'm just going to put some glue with PVA with a little old brush on the part of the post, and then put on the rail. Now, as PVA takes a while to glue, you can adjust to make sure your posts are at 90 degrees with the rail. And the posts are kind of evenly spread. They don't have to be exact, because I'm sure they weren't measured out exactly on the field, but yeah, that'll do. That's the rails put on. I'm just going to let them dry. As you can see, there's some PVA still not dry yet. and then we'll add it to the base. Okay, so we've got some mud, got some grass, got some water, or puddles from the tracks, and we've now got a fence. And for the next part, I'll probably put a crow or something on top of the fence, and also maybe some tufts of grass at the bottom of the post, because normally it's very rare you'll see grass not grown longer near the post where no one's been able to cut it. So let's probably do that next. And for the probably tufts of grass, I've probably used this long stuff cut into small points and then just dabbed across. Now I'm using a totally different colour from the grass on the actual diorama at the moment. That's just to give it a bit more colour, a bit more variety. It probably won't look right, but at least it's a bit of variety. Maybe the tank's green, the grass is green, so let's put a bit of kind of a yellowy mustard to it. I don't want the tufts too long, otherwise it will take away the noticing the actual fence itself. So just doing very short length, but obviously longer than the green grass we have. So let's cut them to a kind of a little length, and then I'm just going to dab them into the PVA glue and then just shove it on the diorama. For a bit of variety, I'm going to use some scenic models material. Again, different grass. I'm not going to use those ones. I'm going to use the darker grass to contrast slightly to the grass on the actual scene already. So again, just popping it into the PVA glue. Get off any excess, and then just shove some down randomly on one of the posts or around the post. And I might put another one just a bit further away from the posts. Yeah, just there. A bit of variety. And there's the final video of the scenario of the T34 going over a field with the unlocking crow or raven. Now the reason I've used a raven is because they're associated with death, and obviously him sitting on the fence there is literally saying, I've seen all this before, I'm not scared, and I'm waiting for death to happen. So you've got the puddles at the back, clumps of grass near the posts, the wood effect, and obviously the T34 itself. Now normally they say you should have your tank at an angle on your diorama piece, and I totally agree. It shows kind of that expanse look. Unfortunately my shelf is really thin on this occasion for where I'm going to be putting this T34. So what I've done, I've put it on the base straight, and that's the reason I've put a fence on there to show, well, it's straight because there's a fence there and he's going to go along the road. Now just to kind of compensate slightly, I've put the turret and the barrel at an angle to show that there is kind of an expanse there, but obviously with this thin shelf I've had no choice but to put it on a smaller, thinner base. I hope you enjoyed the video on how I did the base, and if you want to see the video on how I started to do the photo etch for the T34, then please watch my other videos. Thank you for watching.